Good morning, Philadelphia. Thanks for watching us at raceonmain.com. We have a terrific show with Jared Siliverstein.
Jared Siliverstein.
From puzzlepiecessquared.org. It is on autism awareness.
Autism awareness, yes. He's all about, that's the foundation that raises money to help families with autistic children.
Local families. Good morning, Philadelphia, and welcome to another great show of Race on Main. You can check out all of our past episodes at raceonmain.com. We hope you stop by, visit. It's open 24 hours a day, and there's lots of great material there. I also want to send out a quick hello to my daughter Olivia, who's recovering from knee surgery today. Hope you feel better very quickly, and we'll be skiing soon. So before we get started, as always, I need to introduce the very underdressed, back from vacation, not Sarah.
Not Sarah.
Stewie. He's back.
I'm back. I'm not on camera, but I'm back.
Yeah, it's been a few weeks. It's been a few weeks, but in those few weeks, you forgot what you're supposed to wear to the show.
Well, I spent those few weeks tramping through Vietnam and Cambodia, so I have a new look.
And then graduation.
And then there was, the graduation in New York City when Sally graduated. And we got to hear Hillary Clinton speak. And it was funny. We thought that she was going to announce. Her speech took her very close to announcing a candidacy.
She got caught in the moment, and she was, I'm throwing my hat in the ring.
Abby turned to me and said, I think she's going to announce. And then she backed away from it and just went on with the speech.
Yeah.
It was very interesting.
So, but you have to also give a little bit of a backdrop. You were at Madison Square Garden.
We were at Madison Square Garden. My daughter's, your niece Sally was graduating from college, and she's so far the only one in our family to ever have graduated with honors. She graduated summa cum laude from Hunter College, and with a degree in political science, a worthless degree.
Yeah, no, not worthless.
As you have often said.
It's useless.
Useless.
Yes.
Well, it's useless without a graduate degree.
Right. Well, and I say that about my degree as well.
And mine.
And yours. And lots of others. There's like 5 or 6 of them.
And she has no plans for graduate school. In fact, she last night.
She learned
Monday night, Betsy and Taylor and Abby were in New York watching Sally do stand-up. So she was at a club.
Way to go, Hunter.
Yeah. She was at a club down in Soho, and she has a
got some jokes to tell.
And she tells stories mostly.
Yeah. All right.
So how things are. But launching into the Hillary Clinton thing, we're just getting to primary season, and there's at this moment there's 20
Democrats
that are going to debate this week in 2 separate stages.
That's right. Actually, the second set's tonight.
And
Joe Biden will
I
be
just
tonight.
don't understand this situation. Why these people can't get into a smoke-filled back room somewhere and narrow it down among themselves. I mean, it's the party, right? The party is supposed to say.
Right.
So, get into a room and say, look, we're going to give the American public choices. There's 3 people.
Right.
But 20, it's like a clown show.
It has been like a clown show. And actually, I think who will probably come out, the final 2 will be Warren, I think, and Biden probably duking it out. Bernie Sanders just too old. I think that, but it's hard to say. You never know.
I don't know.
But I think some of the other folks are there really to kind of set the stage for how well liked are they now?
So they can
for the
future. Well, that's sort of the thing that's
been
been done, the past couple of years. And of course, we're not, we try to stay very apolitical, so not endorsing anybody or saying anything. We're just commenting on the ludicrousness, if that's even a word, of this circumstance.
I declare
20 people that I can't keep. You need a scorecard.
Well, that and the other part to it is it becomes sort of like a bit of like a screaming match, and there's
is good television.
Right. So who's this for? The American public or for some ratings?
Honestly, at this point, I think that the American public is really not a factor in this whole situation.
Yeah.
We're just along for the ride.
Well, you know what? It'll narrow itself down pretty quickly. I mean, there's going to be 2 or 3 people as always, who, quite frankly, and when I say have the chops for it, I mean really they have the financial backing for
money,
it.
right.
Biden's got the financial backing for it. Bernie Sanders, Warren, those three have the financial backing, unless there's somebody else in the group that has some hidden something or other where gobs of money is going to come from.
Sometimes I guess somebody does well in the debate or something, and all of a sudden, the donors are there for them,
right,
or something like that.
But I mean, like you got like Sanders, for example, they've had the money lined up for several years. It's been waiting.
Yeah, but the thing is, like and again, I don't want to get political, but he has moved the needle.
Right.
So now, let them go into the back room, let them kowtow to you.
Right.
Make sure that the planks are in the platform.
Right.
And get off the stage so it's not confusing.
Right. I agree. Right now it's just a little bit chaos. It doesn't make the party look good when there's this kind of chaos.
I think so. I agree.
Yeah.
I think that's what the thing is. It looks disorganized.
It looks disorganized, and as a result of it.
And again, we keep saying the party, like we're members of the Democratic Party.
Right.
I'm a card-carrying independent, so I don't go either way. But it just strikes me as a function of sitting on the sidelines and commenting.
Yeah, it looks sloppy.
It looks sloppy. It
just
doesn't. It's not what we as an American look sloppy. Yeah, this is not sloppy. This is engaged. This is what you wear when you're trekking through a jungle.
You're in
not the this.
That's what I mean.
Well, the Vietnamese people are. They thought I was very impressive with my.
So they gave you a jacket.
They gave me a jacket.
All right.
Yeah.
So anyway, so we have some interesting guests.
We do. Today I'm gonna.
Yeah, please do.
Today the light came on. Today we have Jared Siliverstein. He's a local guy, educated at Penn State. We are. He's an exercise guru. Spent his career training people. Recently is a gym owner, also in Cherry Hill. Kinetics 360 at the Firm is the name of the club, and we'll talk about that a little bit. But what Jared's really here to talk about is his foundation, which benefits autism and families with autistic children, puzzlepiecessquared.org, if you want to get in touch with him. So welcome to the show, Jared.
Oh, thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, we appreciate you being here. So, I mean, really just to kick things off, you're a local, let's say, Philadelphia area guy. Puzzlepieces.org is why you're here.
Puzzle Pieces Squared.
Puzzlepiecessquared.org, my apologies. Why? Why that? Why did it start? Give us like the backdrop to it.
So my wife and I, Trish, we were college sweethearts, and and we were, we imagined having a family, and growing up, and and having a family and having kids and different things happening, and we were very fortunate to have twins. And when we had our twins, we found out both of them were autistic. My son Brendan is autistic more in the social level, and my son Jacob is more autistic in the cognitive level. He's about 3.5 years developmentally delayed. Basically, when that happened, a father and a mother, have a couple choices. Obviously, you want to do what's best for your children. Well, what's best when you're raising children? I also have a third that we had later, Spencer. I don't want to forget him. He's 10.
Say hi to Spencer. Hey, Spencer.
Hey, Spencer. But the bottom line is when you find out that you're going to have special needs children, the things that run through your head is early intervention. What am I going to do for my children to make it better for them later? How am I going to provide them with every opportunity? And it's very expensive. It is a very expensive thing. My wife and I, it took us a little bit of time before we even told our family that my kids were autistic. Because, in the beginning, you're trying to do everything that you can, and you don't want to be looked upon differently. You don't want to be looked upon like you're a bad parent or you're not doing something that you should be doing. So we tried to do everything we could, the therapists, the ABA therapy, early intervention therapy, all the different things, one-on-one aids, and it gets very, very costly. Almost to the point where we lost our home because we couldn't afford it. At the same time, my wife got very ill as well, because when you're trying to raise children with autism, it's extremely stressful. And that takes a huge thing mentally and physically on the parent, especially moms. So what ended up happening with all this is I watched my family kind of fall apart for a little while. And when we were looking at us falling apart, we kind of got stuck and we didn't know what to do. So finally we did tell my parents and my sister and different people in our family, and we started to get some help and some different ideas. But what I started to realize was, I didn't like that feeling. So then I started to go all in. I was like, okay, my son Jake, he's autistic. Okay, let's start to get involved with Autism Speaks. Let's raise money for the walks. Let's raise money for research. Let's do all that. And I did it, and as I was telling Stu earlier, we raised the third most amount of money for the autism walk in Mount Laurel. And after we did that, my son got a plaque, he got to go on stage. It was great, okay? But what ended up happening is, after the event was over, I felt empty because I was like, where'd the money go? Right. I have no idea where this money went. So I started researching really how much percentages of donations and everything really goes to all these different foundations. And you'd be surprised, it's not a lot. A lot goes to marketing, salaries, campaigns, all these different things. So I said, okay, you can either complain about it or you can do something about it. So I said, I'm going to do something about it. So I started a Facebook page, Puzzle Pieces Squared, and I just wanted to educate. It was all about just education because autism has become very known in the last couple years. But my twins now, they just turned 15. When they were 7, 6 years old, it wasn't as prevalent as it is now. It has become a lot bigger of a thing. Schools are stepping up a lot more. You're hearing about it a lot more. So I thought education was the key thing to do. So I started educating, and I started working on a Facebook page to educate everybody, educate the masses. And then I said, you know what? That's not enough. And I came home one night, and I said, Trish, you know what I'm going to do? We're going to have a huge gala because I'm going to start a foundation. And she looked at me like I was absolutely crazy. And she said, the IRS doesn't give anybody money. How are you just going to start a foundation? So I reached out to a couple of my lawyer friends, and I reached out to the IRS, and they said, absolutely not. We don't just give, you have to apply. It takes 9 months and all this stuff. And so I talked to another lawyer friend of mine, and he said, it's not going to matter. You're going to apply, and it's not going to work. So I was very upset about that, but I have a no quit attitude that I also apply with my clients with my professional career. So I started researching and tried to find loopholes. So I found that there was a law case against the IRS for small business charities, like smaller, not the big, huge corporate-based ones, but the smaller ones, for them to get more of a fair shake with becoming 501c3s. And I applied under that. I got accepted within 3 months. So after that, now my hands aren't tied anymore. And I said, you know what? Now I can come up with my mission statement. And my mission statement was, I want to provide grants for families. At the time, it was 4 families in the tri-state area, up to $7,500 per family to provide things that insurance doesn't cover. Technology, respite care, ABA interventional therapy, summer camps, one-on-one aids, anything. Now we're doing stuff with horse therapy. Anything that will work that I know would have worked for my children, that insurance said, no, we don't cover that. Because what happens is, excuse me one second. What happens is you have something in my throat.
Clear your throat.
Sorry.
No worries.
You have the people that are in the lower class, right? Government steps in for them. Says, well, you can't afford this, so we're going to give you aid to do it. You have people in the upper class, well, they don't need help because they can afford it. But then you have people in the middle class, right? They're the people that the government and the financial aid and all these different places look at and say, well, you make enough money, so you don't need help. But they really don't realize how much it costs to raise families with children on the special needs spectrum, any spectrum, but especially autistic. So I started to say, okay, you know what? I'm not going to frown upon those people. If somebody needs help, I'm going to help them because you know what? They need that ray of sunshine. They need that hope. Because my wife and I, for a long time, we didn't have that hope. And I try to provide that hope. And that's where Puzzle Pieces Squared came from, right? Puzzle piece, yes, as you asked me earlier, puzzle piece is the national symbol for autism is the puzzle piece. And that is because there's if you meet one child with autism, it's just that you met one child because there's so many different varied spectrums and different degrees, right? But for me, it was Puzzle Pieces Squared for my 2 children, okay? But then the piece, because I want to fill that missing piece that the families don't have to bring them whole again.
So I have a question. I'm going to jump in.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I have two questions, because you've said a lot, but I want to dig in a little bit.
Sure.
And one is Stu and I know a little bit about this just because of our line of work.
Sure.
And so one of the questions that I have for you is, you mentioned cost of the stuff outside of insurance. So, I mean, does it cost for a parent to provide, let's say, everything they need to provide outside of insurance, to the point where you're like, we just can't do anymore? And I know that that's a very we're taking broad strokes here. Do people spend $30,000, $20,000, $100,000? I know it varies, but is there an about mark?
It all differs in range based on the severity or the degree on the spectrum that your child is. But there's studies out there, but they always say that if you were raising a child with autism, it could cost you $1 million through that lifespan, of when you're responsible for that child.
So to 18-ish, say.
Actually, it's not even till 18, because a lot of these children, a lot of these families I helped, they're getting help until the child's 21 or 22 years old. Because a lot of these different high school programs now will keep you in the high school until you're 21 or 22, deciding on what's going to go on and what's that next step. So it's kind of a little fabrication that it's 18, because it's not. Because depending on where your child falls on that spectrum, they could be with you forever. Right. They could live at your house till they're 35 years old, or they could be with you till they're 18 and go to a vocational school, but then have to come back. There's so many different degrees that could be. It's a hard question to answer.
But you're talking about slapping down an extra $1 million above and beyond the cost of raising a child in say, a middle-class circumstance like this. That's a lot of money.
I know, it's crazy. It's crazy to even think about.
Started a foundation.
No, I understand that,
but when you look at that $1 million, right? And again, I'm just throwing a statistic.
No, I understand. Even if it's half.
But when you look at
that's
that,
a
right?
Tough road.
You're talking about, if it's early intervention, it could be when the child is 2 years old, even earlier, all the way up, and you're talking about all sorts of different therapies. And insurance only covers a certain amount. I have a family right now that has really good insurance that reached out to us, and it's still an extra $35 a session on top of what insurance will cover, and their child is supposed to do 4 times a week. So 4 times a week, so now you're looking at $120 to $140 a week, when this kid needs at least, probably for the next couple of years, therapy. And I can't provide all of it, but even if I provide a couple months with it, you're talking about thousands of dollars.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
After tax dollars.
Yeah.
Right.
If you're a family, vis-a-vis the foundation, am I asking the foundation for a specific grant, for a specific therapy? How does that work?
So what we do is, we have our website, and there are different ways that people get in touch with me, but most go on the website, they fill out the app. In the app, they're basically talking about what they're looking for. Now, most of these families, a lot of them come from, they're not the most technology sound or anything like that. So a lot of times I have to kind of gear them towards a different direction. But what they're basically supposed to say is what they're looking for and why. Then what I do is I call and I do a phone interview with them, where I really find out, what's the home situation? How many children do you have? Because a lot of these families, only one of the parents can work, because the other one's taking care of the children, because it takes that kind of responsibility. So I try to engage really what's going on. Then I try to figure out, what have they already done for their child? Because if I help you, but you don't have a plan afterwards, the help's going to stop right after that. Then what? So I try to, not only do I provide funds, but what I also do is I provide research, knowledge, experience, and a sounding board. Okay, because a lot of times, I just talked to a mother last week, and she was upset about a situation that happened with her son. I haven't helped their family at all, but I talked to her for an hour on the phone, and she thanks me every day with a text or something on email saying, hey, you gave me that ray of hope. I talked to you, everybody tells me no. You showed me all these ways that it might be possible. And sometimes that's all you need. You just got to give somebody a little glimmer, a little piece of that hope. And then all of a sudden it brightens it up for them, and they're like, wait a minute, maybe I can do this. and they would be so like crouched over, a lot of them crying because they don't know what to do. And when I talk to them afterwards, they're smiling on the other end. When you talk to somebody on the phone and you can tell that they're smiling on the other end, that's what happens with these families.
So you mentioned about, and I don't know which one, I'm not sure, one of your sons is 3.5 years behind.
He's probably about 3. He's catching up.
Okay, and that's what I was going to ask you. So in that particular, so not the social side, like you said, your other son has issues with, but on that side, that developmental side, you said 3 years behind, catching up. Is there an opportunity for someone in that spot to actually catch up? And what goes on when they catch up or when they get as close as they can?
All I will say, because that's a very loaded question, but
I'm not trying to be loaded. I'm really trying to look for.
All I will tell you is if you give the child the proper tools and you start early, then in my opinion, any limit that anybody tells you that your child has, you can go beyond it. I don't know how far beyond it,
right.
But the strides that I've seen with my son is huge. Now, I'm very lucky. Both my kids are very communicative, verbal. They're great. I don't deal with what some of these other families deal with, but I deal with other problems because they're communicative.
Right.
They have a tendency to not get along because they're on opposite ends. So a little bit different than regular brothers not getting along. So we deal with other different things. But when you're working with the schools and when you're working the right therapy and you're putting in the right pieces, you can get further above. I know that a few years ago, the teachers were kind of telling us, well, we don't know really what's going to go on with Jake, where he's going to go with college, And then we just had a meeting a couple weeks ago, and now my son's looking at, well, maybe this type of vocational school, maybe not like a college program, but something that we weren't even looking at a couple of years ago.
Yeah. So
it is amazing if you provide the right network and the right services at the right time, what you can do. I have another, this always brings me to tears, but I have another mom whose son was not communicative at all, and they had a very difficult life. And I provided an iPad, and an iPad was the way he could tell his mom he loved her. When she told us about, and now she's a great personal friend of ours, when she told us about that, we didn't even know that was going to happen.
Right.
Like, we were providing because we're trying to provide services for technology and different ways for them to learn and everything else. And here a mom is told by her son which she never thought that was going to happen, that he loves her. That is a huge, huge thing. So there's so many different things that open when you provide the right services.
Right.
So the foundation puzzle pieces squared.org. You're obviously very hands-on. You're the guy who's making the phone call. Is it a one-man show at this point?
Originally, I started it, and then my wife joined in very quickly, and it was us. And the first year it was all us, and we had some volunteers. But now we're very fortunate that a lot of people have joined into our cause. They see, we run a gala every year, a huge cocktail gala, and we just ran our last one at the aquarium last year, where we raised $18,000. And, people have started to see what we're doing and have become passionate. And now I have a committee of 7 that includes myself. And we're all volunteers.
Do they operate does this committee of 7, it operates as like a board? Or?
So basically, we do have a board, but basically I'm basically the president, my wife's the vice president, and then everybody's underneath us.
That's fair.
But we do vote on things and everything, but I do have final, base. I never wanted to kind of lose what I wanted to start. So I am very personally involved. I am the one that talks to each one of the families, each one of the applicants. I meet with them. I talk to them on the phone. I'm the one that provides the grants. I do all that stuff. But my board, my committee, we all meet and discuss what's best for them. And, because a lot of times, because I'm so personally involved, it really hits me in the heart.
Sure.
So sometimes I have to be kind of like just shown all the full perspective.
That's fair.
So they keep me grounded.
So I have a couple of things, because we don't have too much time. But when you say the grants, $7,500 grant,
Up to 70.
up to $7,500. So whatever amount of money you can earn, you pack as much stuff into that as possible.
Yes.
So you're always looking for donations. I'm assuming on the website people can go to the website.
Yeah, you can donate through the website.
So if somebody goes directly to the website, there's an obvious spot that they could go to. So we're pleased encouraging everybody to take a look, check it out. If you think it's something worthwhile, certainly please, a couple of bucks here and there is not too hard to put out there. So.
And then the other question is, how do you find out about the gala? Like, is
that's
that
what
your only fundraising event, or there
That's
other
that's our one fundraising event
So that's
a year,
important.
and that's always on our website. So on our website, you can go to our previous gala section where it shows the previous ones we've done, and then as we get everything set for the next one, which is actually March 20th next year, and it will be at we're taking over the entire Camden Aquarium for our gala. We're thinking we're at that step now, but all the information will be on there.
And am I able to go on the website and sign up for a mailing list?
You can go on the website, and we're working on that because we're kind of getting to that stage.
Sure.
But you can go on the website and reach out if you wanted to be on the mailing list, and then we can get you on that and get you our information.
All right.
That's terrific.
You're
and
doing
just
good
so
work.
yes,
Thank you.
you are. I have an Apple iPad rather in a box in my office. It's for you to have.
Oh, thanks.
I'll send
Sure,
it out
our family
to you.
will love it.
I'm sure, and you could set it up for all the right items on it to be able to make sure that they get some
Awesome.
good
Thank
use
you very
out of
much.
it.
Thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah.
Jared.
Thank
so
you.
I just, as we get out of here, I'll say good riddance to you. Just kidding. We have.
I'm back. I missed the last two tapings. I'm back.
Good riddance to show everybody those shoes. Get that here. So real quick, I just want to say we've had this terrible heat over the last few weeks. Keep in mind, you got police officers and firefighters working with fire, ambulance drivers. It's hot out. It's crushingly hot as it's been. So keep them in your thoughts, please. They're out there working every day, regardless of the heat, putting out fires or whatever the case may be. So you can always throw a few extra quarters in their boot when you come up to an intersection where the police are. Don't forget, raceonmain.com. You can check out all of our past episodes, and there will be information about the website. Give the website once more.
It's puzzlepiecessquared.org, all written out.
Puzzlepiecessquared.org, all written out. There's also an Instagram page, so thanks for watching, and please go to the website and check out all the good things that they're doing. Thank you.